Get out all those Dollar Tree calendars you've been collecting and let's craft with them. Welcome to the Chic Show. Today's playlist is hosted by Crafting My Best Life with Lisa and Kristen Kay. We are all excited to be a part of their playlist. Be sure and check out their channels and the playlist in the description box below. If you're like me, you love the Dollar Tree calendars and pick them up every year. I pick up more than I actually need, and I just can't help myself. So today's the day we're going to craft our stash of Dollar Tree calendars. So not only do you have the big pictures in the calendar, you also have some on the back that are smaller that you can use for other things. For project number 1, I'm going to be using one of these frames from Dollar Tree. I want to make this an interchangeable notepad holder. So I'm going to remove the frame and remove that picture from the inside. And I wanted to use some of these smaller pieces of the calendar from the back, but when you slide it in there, if you just slide one piece in there, it slides around and it won't hold its place. So I used a business card holder and I cut it to fit so that these little calendar pieces will slide right inside. Now all we have to do is attach the plastic cover to the frame. So all I did for the notepad was remove that back page and I just stuck the notepad onto the frame. This really was not enough to hold it, so I really would suggest that you use hot glue or Velcro like I'm going to use at the top. I'm going to use this little piece of Velcro for the calendar pieces. And now we'll be able to switch out those calendar pieces with the seasons or the month, or even your mood. For the second project, I'm going to be using the bigger picture on the back of one of the Dollar Tree calendars and another Dollar Tree acrylic frame. So this time I'm going to mount the picture onto a piece of scrapbook paper that fits directly in my frame. Now I can slide that piece of paper into the frame and then mount my notepad to the front. These are perfect little teacher gifts. For project number 3, I wanted to make something to fit into my craft room. So I had this paper box that I thrifted, and I was looking through the calendars to find something that would fit on the top of the lid. I decided on the rainbow because that matches my craft room better than the wreath, but either one would have worked perfectly. I went ahead and gave both the top and the bottom of my box a coat of Waverly chalk paint in plaster. Now I'm just pressing that calendar page around the lid of the box to see kind of where I needed to cut it. I did cut the center of the rainbow out. It really wasn't necessary, but I kind of changed gears as I was going through this project. Now I'm going to add a quick coat of Mod Podge and I'm going to let that dry completely. While the Mod Podge is drying, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the rest of these little flowers so that I can make them extend down over the edge of the top. I'm also cutting out the word Daydreamer that I'm going to place on the bottom of the box. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, I'm going to use the iron-on method for the rainbow on the top. I won't be able to do this on the side of the box just because I thought it would be a little bit too cumbersome. So I'm using a piece of Teflon that I'm placing on top of my calendar page, and then I'm just ironing gently over the top, and this will reactivate that Mod Podge so that the rainbow will adhere to the lid. I used my finger sander to sand away any excess paper that was at the top. Now I'm going to take those extra flowers and I'm going to cut them to fit around the edge of the box, and I will apply those with Mod Podge as well. I decided to use the Mod Podge on the back of the calendar page on the word Daydreamer, but it did kind of curl up as it got wetter. So it was a little bit cumbersome, but it was still easier, I think, than trying to iron it on. I thought about putting some kind of a knob on the top of the box, but I opted for this foam flower that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby at some point, and it does just stick right on. I decided the bottom of the box was a little too plain, so I decided to do some paint splatter on it in the colors that are in the rainbow. So I took out some acrylic paints that matched my rainbow, and I mixed them with a little bit of water so they would be a little bit more liquidy and easier to splatter. Once the colors and the water were mixed, I went ahead and splatter painted all around the bottom of the box. I didn't really like the way you could see the line around the word, so I thought the paint splattering might help camouflage that just a bit.
Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around with someone. Don't you wanna have fun? Never mind my dumb heart. It needs a little side. Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around with someone. Don't you wanna have fun? Never mind my dumb heart. It needs a little.
The smaller pictures on the back of the calendars are perfect for making magnets as well. These magnets I got in the art section at Hobby Lobby. They were $2.49, I believe, and you get 3 or 4 of them in a pack, and I think these are perfect. I cut out the picture I wanted to use, and then I traced the magnet onto the back of the calendar page. I'm going to cut out the circle just outside the line that I traced so that I can sand off any excess paper and have a nice finished edge. Again, I'm using some Mod Podge. I'm going to brush that onto the magnet and I'm going to let it dry before I apply that calendar picture. I am using the iron-on method, so I've got my picture onto the magnet where I want it, and then I'll use that piece of Teflon and I will iron onto the surface. Using a finger sander to sand off that excess paper is just a great way to get a nice finished edge that looks professional. The last few projects, I want to show you some ways that you can just display the calendars just as they are. This was a piece of wicker that I found at a thrift store, and I knew what I wanted to do with it, but I took it outside. I gave it a light coat of white spray paint, and now I'm using some Waverly chalk paint in mineral just to dry brush all over. I then went over it with some Waverly Antique wax just to age it a bit. I did mix this wax with a little bit of water to make it a little bit thinner and a little bit lighter in color. I went back with a dry paper towel and wiped away any excess, and I just kept layering it on and wiping it off until I got the look that I wanted. I got these antique-like binder clips from Amazon, and I'm going to wire those to the top of this wicker piece so that they can be removed, but also so that they will hold the calendar. This is the perfect way to display those calendar pages that you love the most and use them over and over without actually having to use the calendar. You could tear the page out and use one page at a time, or you can just fold it in half as I have done here and keep the calendar whole.
Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around with someone. Don't you wanna have fun? Never mind my dumb heart. It needs a little.
For this display piece, I'm using a hanger that I actually got when I bought a blanket. So it has this bar across here at the bottom. It also has the wood part at the top. So if you didn't have the bar across the bottom, you could attach these little clips to the wood part at the top. I chose just to clip mine right around that bar and then open up my calendar, and again, you could display this, just the pictures, just the calendar part, simple and easy, or the entire piece as I have done here. All you need for this project is a metal sign and a couple of heavy-duty magnets. This sign came from Dollar General. I got it on clearance, and the magnets came from Dollar Tree. I've chosen my calendar, and I'm just going to use those magnets to attach it to the back of that metal sign, and it's ready to display.
Don't you wanna have fun?
And lastly, I have a minimalist look for you. I'm going to use one of these wood shims, but you could use a painter's stick or anything
to stain the front and the side.
I'm going to use
you can stain the back as well,
but if you use something like wax, then you would have trouble getting the hot glue to adhere. Now you could certainly staple it as well, but this piece of wood was much too thin for that. Once I had my stain applied, I went back with a wet paper towel and just wiped back any excess. I chose to use some twine and hot glue that onto the back of my piece of wood. I also hot glued clips to the front of the piece of wood. I would recommend using something like E6000 or something much stronger than hot glue. Again, you could display any part of the calendar that you chose. I choose just to use the actual calendar part for a minimalistic look.
Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around with someone. Don't you wanna have fun? Never mind my dumb.
Thanks so much to Lisa and Kristen for allowing me to be a part of this playlist. I hope that you'll check out their channels if you haven't already in the description box below, and don't forget to check out that playlist. For more inspiration, watch this video next. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share the chic. Bye now.